Welcome to another video of Axis and Allies 1914. Today we're going to be taking a look at France's first turn. We've had a few other videos. We discussed what Austria might do on its first turn, purchases it might make, and then Russia, followed up by Germany, and now we're focusing on France. You'll see that some of the troop placements are not the initial startup location because we are following through with the recommended moves for Austria, Russia, and Germany, and then when it comes to those battles, we took the statistically most likely outcome, removed corresponding offensive, defensive units, and proceeded. So we would expect the world to look much like this at the beginning of France's turn. If the other players did something different than what we did here, of course the situation will look a little bit different. Just to give a brief overview, Austria decided to try and tie up Italy by doing an amphibious assault on Tuscany and invading Venice, and of course invading Serbia. And at the time it had invaded Poland. Russia countered by moving into Romania, gaining that territory and some bonus units, attacking Poland, wiping the Austrians out, and then also proceeded to attack the Ottoman Empire because the Allies are going with a Ottoman first approach. So they attacked with the navy as well as on land over there. Then it became Germany's turn. Germany counterattacked in Poland, and that's why you see troops from both countries there. It also invaded Belgium and attacked the British Navy. Now, in terms of France, Germany is focusing on a Russia first strategy, but wants to put significant pressure on France so that France is less likely to divert forces in the Mediterranean over to fight the Ottomans, and is more likely to pressure England to focus on the North Atlantic rather than focusing on India. That is Germany's goal with its move into Belgium. Now, as France, we aren't going to fall for that because we can see that Germany has split its forces. It is heavily engaged with Russia. Should it fail to keep reinforcing over there, that front will fall and it'll be in a lot of trouble. But we also see it pressing on our front. So they're splitting their forces, which is not a terribly bad thing for us. We also see that their fighter that they had at the beginning of the turn moved over to Poland. Now they purchased another one. They may send that towards us next turn, but for now it appears that they are really focused over in the east. So what we're going to do for our purchases, we're going to call Germany's bluff. Of course we're going to buy a fighter. We could go fighter and 6 infantry, but since we see Germany is diverting its forces both ways, like I said, we're going to call their bluff and prepare ourselves to make a counterattack because we believe, rightly or wrongly, that their heart really isn't in the assault into France. And so we're going to build accordingly. Now, Germany's armies in Belgium and in Alsace are too big for us to deal with right now. We can't attack. And we don't want Germany consolidating its forces in Lorraine because then it'll have a super massive stack in one territory. So what we want to do with our troop placement, we want to make Lorraine very unappetizing for Germany. By comparison, we want to make Picardy in the north much more approachable because we want to tempt Germany into splitting its armies, moving the Belgian army over to Picardy while the Alsace army stays separated from it by more than a territory. And then on our turn, we will counter and destroy the Picardy army, and then we'll be left just with one major army to deal with. Now, the German player on his turn could just consolidate his forces, either in Belgium or in Alsace, when we can't do anything to prevent that, but that does keep him a turn away. He hasn't encroached on our territory any further and basically takes an entire turn to rearrange his troops. And because we have, as the Allies, have a significant production advantage, right now we're focusing on slowing the Central Powers down. So if Germany wants to take a turn to not attack and reshuffle its forces, that's still a net win for us. But we do want to leave, we don't want it to appear that we are leaving Picardy defenseless. Otherwise, our trap would be obvious. We also want to move token forces down to Italy, either to help them out if we have to, but really we are going to pick them up with our transports and drop them off over fighting the Ottomans later on. So what we're going to do for our movement, we're going to move 1 artillery and 1 infantry down to Piedmont. We're going to move everything else. Again, remember, we're using tournament rules, so same territory, we're able to move 2 spaces. Everything else that we have, is within 2 spaces of Lorraine. So we're going to do that. We're also going to move these artillery down there. Artillery are good on offense. They aren't really going to help us with our defense. And an argument could be made, leave a little bit more, a little bit less in Picardy. There really is no point to leaving the artillery there if we're hoping that Germany will attack it. We could try and split up our forces a little bit more between the two, but we want to make sure that Germany takes one look at Alsace and says, no, I'm definitely not going to attack there, and then thinks, oh, Picardy is open, I'm going to attack that. That's what we want. We want them to move in there, and then on our turn, or on our next turn, we'll have reinforcements in Paris, and we can combine that with whatever forces we want here to crush that army. Alsace might move in to take advantage of that, but then we turn around next turn, move in with whatever's left in Picardy, and move in from Paris, assuming that we've destroyed the entire German army in Picardy. If not, then we send what we need to contest it, or leave what we need to make sure that Alsace stays contested. Either way, just as long as we can shift troops back and forth from the 2 territories as needed and get the troops from Paris forward, then we'll be set. Now, when it comes to our navy, what we're going to do, because we want to liberate, so to speak, Albania, so that Italy gets Albanian troops and has them at the beginning of its turn. So we're going to use our transport here. Unfortunately, we can only pick up 2 infantry at this point, but we're going to pick up these 2 infantry, move this fleet over here, join the Italian fleet, and land in Albania, which is going to make Albania even more difficult for Austria to counter, because not only will it have the Albanian bonus troops, but there will be a couple of French infantry there as well. Now, next turn, what we'll do with our transports, and really we could have moved an additional infantry and artillery here if we wanted to, because next turn we'll have these 2 transports here. We also, sorry about that camera angle, we also will be moving our fleet from over here down to here. So on our next turn we'll have 3 transports and 2 coastal bombardments that we can use to really mess with Italy, or mess with the Ottomans. We'll have a transport's worth here, a transport's worth here, and if we move this infantry up from Algeria, we'll also have a half a transport from there. Now we have one more unit, I think, that we haven't used yet, and it is this lone French African infantry. Now it's going to take him too long. Well, actually, no, I'm sorry. Let me take that back. Because we're going with tournament rules, he can also move 2 spaces up there, and now we can fill all 3 of our transports. 3 transports with 2 coastal bombardments on our next turn. We can take out the Ottomans. We've also given Italy some free troops in Albania that it can use at the start of its turn, which is going to help it out. And we've put Germany in a position where they're more than likely not going to attack Alsace because of the quantity of units that are there. So they can either attack Picardy and fall into our counterattack trap, or they can take a turn to rearrange their troops and consolidate. In one way, they lose half their army, which is probably the ideal situation for us, but if they don't, then we still gain a turn of extra production, and if they're shifting units over to Russia, which it looks like that's what they're doing, then an extra turn of production with them not advancing on us, not threatening Paris, is an extra turn that we can help move troops to the front and even the odds. So that was a pretty quick video compared to the other ones. Most of our forces are really concentrated in one area. And so at this point, we're going to place our purchased units, and of course we're going to place them all in Paris for a counterattack. Now, even if Germany destroys our fighter, if for some reason they do attack Alsace, or they fly one of their fighters over, and we have an air duel before combat starts, we've purchased a replacement fighter. And if they don't do that, that's going to make us very strong in terms of the air war, which is what we want. It's going to be very helpful to us as we take advantage of Germany's attention being over there, Austria's attention being over there, and start trying to push this way over time. And because we went a little more artillery heavy rather than infantry heavy, it's going to put us in an excellent position to counterattack on our turn. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video, that overview of what I would do in this situation as France. As always, if you have any thoughts, any recommendations, any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section. I'm making these videos with the purpose in mind of helping improve my own play as I work through some of these scenarios, helping each of you watching my videos improve their skills when it comes to this game and strategy. And if you have any useful advice, I would be happy to listen to it and incorporate it in some of my games going forward.